Hello, welcome to day 3 of the 40 Days of Breakthrough. Y'all, today's topic is swift obedience. I have been so blessed, honestly, just by committing to this. And I just want to encourage you because oftentimes we can go through different things in life and it can feel like, you can't try it again. Don't pick it back up. It's too late. Some of the things we've talked about in just the last 2 days, it not being too late. Don't grow weary in well doing. Well, today I just want to talk to you about swift obedience. And when I was praying about this message today, usually when I think about obedience, I think about Abraham. And there's many times, where Abraham was told to do something and he got up and immediately did it. But as I was praying about this message and where I needed to go with it, Hagar is who came to mind for me. And so I just want to just encourage you when you get a chance, read Genesis 16. But there is a part of Genesis 16 is verse 8, where Hagar has left. Sarah is getting mad at her. If you know the story, Hagar actually ended up having a baby by Abraham because Sarah couldn't get pregnant. And so Hagar, who worked for them, they decided, we got this great idea. We just gonna, how we talked about that edging God out, we're just gonna go ahead and do it our way and get a child through Hagar. And so that's what they did. And Sarah became frustrated with her and upset with her. So Hagar runs away at this point. This is in Genesis 16, but like I said, read it for yourself so you really can get whatever, God has for you with this message. But she runs away and she's like distraught. And the angel of the Lord spoke to her and said, return to your mistress, submit to her authority, and I will greatly multiply your offspring so that I'm reading this on the screen beside me if you're wondering why I'm looking to the right, to your offspring so that they will be too numerous to count. And if you continue to read, I believe it's in Genesis 21, you will start to see the fruit of all this coming together. And so there's a few things that I really got from this message that I want to encourage you on today. And the first thing is that Hagar turned around and she listened. And sometimes we'll get instruction and it doesn't even make sense, or we're getting upset. It's talking about submission, submit to their authority. What? Most of us, even hearing that, maybe your skin is crawling like submit to authority. But I'm telling you right now, sometimes there's so much on the other side of your obedience. And the quicker you can do it, the sooner God can show up for your situation. Now, I grew up in a military family. If you don't know that, I was born and raised on a military base for my entire beginning of my life up until I went to college. I always lived on a military base. And so there's a lot that I learned from that experience. But I also know, even from stories that my father told me, even from stories that, from my friends' parents who were in the military, it was life or death at times if you could not submit to authority. If someone told you something to do and you wasted a second, our mom used to say this all the time, you wasted a second to just listen. You needed 15 reasons why, or why are you telling me this? Why, whatever you may be doing, the time that you wasted for some of those circumstances, especially at war, it could have been life or death. You listening. And for many of us, that's what's on the table. With Hagar, not only was the life of her son, but the legacy that she was going to leave, the multiplication that was going to come through her legacy, her descendants, was from her obedience in that moment. And swift obedience is even powerful to me because you're not delaying it. You're not asking 11 questions about, well, why should I do this and why shouldn't I? So I'm really speaking to you. If God has told you something to do, if you've been given a vision, if you've been told to show up in a certain way, don't delay your obedience. Don't delay your obedience. Me showing up, even in this capacity, I had so many things, and y'all know I'm transparent. So many things. One, why, what? I haven't gone live in quite some time. And then even the idea of sending messages out every day and showing up in this capacity, it's like, well, why, God, why would I do this? People don't want to hear from you every day. Those are some of the thoughts that, we can have whatever reason and whatever justification, but I also know the importance of just being obedient. Just be obedient. We don't know what the outcome is, or sometimes you just don't know why. And I'll just share with you really briefly. There's an experience that I had. This was a few years ago. And I just kept hearing like, pack, get your stuff, to clear out some stuff, pack up some stuff, right? And I didn't fully listen, but if I would have, what ended up coming was a flood. There was a natural disaster in my area. My home got flooded. I lost so much stuff, including I lost merchandise, books, shirts, my own clothes, most of everything that I own, I ended up losing. And the only things that made it through, the few things, was the things that I had packed. And because I had listened in that little way, I was able to quickly, when it was time to evacuate, just move those boxes up to higher ground, right? Because they were already prepared. But it was literally, we only had a few hours to prepare to evacuate because of the way that the storm had turned. There wasn't a lot of forewarning for it. So I remember just having a wonderful weekend, and it went from that to straight up panic. Everyone, get out, hide your kids, hide your wife, grab everything. It's time to go. And because I wasn't fully obedient in that split second of it's time to go now. It's too late to start packing. It's too late to start gathering your items. It's too late to start cleaning your house up and sorting things. And I don't want that to be any of our experiences. And you can take that even further with your walk with God. I used to always think like, oh, I'll get saved when it's not appealing to do half of these things. But if God is speaking to you and calling you in this season, I'm telling you, swiftly obey. Swiftly obey. And for some of you, you may not know what that looks like, or how do I even know? Get into the word. That's why when I'm reading things to you all, I tell you to read it for yourself, because that's where the transformation happens. And the verse, faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Get into it for yourself. Don't always rely on third-hand knowledge. Don't wait for someone else to tell you. Just get into it for yourself. I was about to go down another rabbit trail because I'm a historian, and a lot of these things that we all are so quick to listen to because someone put the right music underneath, or they made it sound good, or they got this nice, the cinematic appeal on YouTube or TikTok or wherever. And so you're taking this stuff as truth, when again, the historian in me understands, that anyone can put something together and make it sound good. So get to know God for yourself, get in the word for yourself. And today, be swiftly obedient. And if you're not quite sure, take some time to get quiet, slow down, pray. That's where God is leading you in this season. Think about those things. And sometimes when we're looking for that next instruction, it's not going to come because you already got the last instruction and you weren't obedient to it. So you keep hearing that same thing, keep coming up. For me, it was purge, pack, purge, pack, purge, pack. And I want to know, God, what's the multi-million-dollar strategy? Or what's the, what am I going to do in this area, these relationships, or this and that, right? But it was, if I could have just fully obeyed in that one area, it was going to be instrumental for my life. And so that's it. And I just love that it was talking about her submitting to that authority, because I know that can just sound not appealing, but you just don't know. And this, I'll, close out with this, but even there are times where you're on a job. Some of you are in a career path right now, and it's temporal. You don't even realize how temporary it is. So you're like complaining and frustrated and don't want to show up, consistently, don't want to whatever, because you think this is forever. And for many of you, it might be a blip. Like, I think about, there was a job I used to cry every Monday, and I've talked about this before too. Every Monday, the thought of showing up at this place. This was right after I graduated from college. I dreaded it. I was like, I can't do this. I used to call my best friend Ashley, and I'm sure you remember this, Ashley, if you're watching. I would call her, and I'd be crying and complaining. And finally, when I shifted my mindset around that, I ended up, when I really think about it, I think I worked a total of maybe 3 months at that job. Might be a little bit more. Definitely wasn't even an entire year. And I spent so much time like not fully just surrendering and submitting to the authority and seeing that opportunity for what it was in its season. And if that resonates with you, just think about, where are you at right now? Where are you being called to be obedient? Where is, God showing you that is important right now? Because sometimes I talked about this yesterday, where you're so focused on the next that you can't appreciate, you can't have gratitude, you can't show up in excellence for your now, because you're so focused on what's going to come up next. And a lot of times your next is contingent on how you're stewarding and taking care of the now. And so today, my encouragement, again, day 3, swift obedience. Move quickly. What is God showing you to do? Don't shrink back. Don't play small about it. Don't delay it. If you know this is what you need to be doing, by all means, take care of it and do it with the quickness, because when Hagar listened, on the back end out, it talked about, I will greatly multiply your offspring so that they will be too numerous to count. And if you continue to read it, that's literally what happened. And so for many of you, it's going to be too numerous. There are certain things, it's like you're worried about this little thing right now. You're worried about, this little bit of submission right here. You're worried about being a little bit more organized here, or a little bit, whatever it is. And you don't even realize that the fruit that's going to bear from that is going to be far beyond what you could even fathom, far beyond what you could even imagine, just by you being obedient in this small area. And for her, it was just, girl, turn around and go back. Don't worry about it. Turn around, go back. It's going to all work out. And that's sometimes as simple as it is for many of us. So that is my message today. This is probably the longest one so far. But I told you I would just share as I feel led. So I'm not really paying attention to the time so much as the message. So today is day 3 of 40, swift obedience. And if you are not connected, go to ericalatrice.com. You should see my name, how it's spelled right there. If you spell it right, it's going to get you to the right website. If you want to sign up to get updates, to get on the list, where I'm sending some messages out on a daily, to those of you that are subscribed. So that is it. I will see you all tomorrow for day 4. Take care.